I fixed the school ice queen's phone. I thought I was just helping her solve a small problem. A cracked screen. A frozen system. A phone that refused to turn on. That was all. Until the phone restarted and I saw my name in her contacts. Not Ethan Brooks. Not classmate. Not even friend. It said, the boy I'll marry. And the worst part? She was standing right beside me when I saw it. My name is Ethan Brooks. At Westbridge High, I was the kind of student most people forgot existed. Not because I was unpopular. I just wasn't the type of person who attracted attention. I wasn't the basketball captain. I wasn't the student council president. I wasn't the guy whose pictures filled the school website. I was just Ethan. The person teachers called when a classroom computer stopped working. The person classmates asked for help when their headphones broke. The person who stayed after school because someone had to fix the things everyone else ignored. Honestly, I was fine with that. I like being useful. I just never expected the most admired girl in school to notice me. Everyone knew Isabella Hart, the class president, the debate champion, the girl who had never missed a deadline, the person teachers trusted with everything. People called her the Ice Queen, not because she was cruel. Actually, she was one of the kindest people at school. The problem was nobody knew that. Isabella was polite, professional, perfect, but distant. She smiled during speeches. She thanked people during events. She helped everyone. Yet somehow, nobody felt close to her. Except me. At least I thought I was the exception. I met Isabella during a school technology event. The projector stopped working 5 minutes before her presentation. Everyone started panicking. Teachers were calling for help. Students were running around. Isabella stood there holding her presentation folder. Calm. Too calm. I walked over. Let me see. She looked at me. You know how to fix it? Probably. And if you can't? I shrugged. Then I'll apologize for destroying your perfect presentation. For a second, she looked surprised. Then she smiled. A real smile. Not the polite one. You're not nervous. About a projector? She looked at the broken machine. Everyone else is. Everyone else cares who gets blamed. I opened the panel. I just want it working. After that day, something changed. Not immediately. Not dramatically. But slowly. Isabella started appearing around me. She sat near me during lunch. She asked my opinion on school events. She sent me messages asking about technology problems. At first, I thought she just needed help. Then I realized something. She didn't only come to me when something was broken. Sometimes she just wanted to talk. One afternoon after school, Isabella stopped me near the library. Ethan. I turned. Yeah? She held up her phone. Can you help me? I smiled. Another technology emergency? She shook her head. No, she looked slightly embarrassed. My phone is acting strange. I took it. The screen was cracked. The system kept freezing. Did you drop it? No water? No, then what happened? She looked away. I got angry. I laughed. You got angry at your phone? It wasn't cooperating. I smiled. Even your phone is afraid of you. She gave me a serious look. That's not funny. But I noticed something. She was trying not to smile. We sat in an empty classroom while I worked on her phone. Isabella watched quietly. You're very patient. I looked up. With phones? With everything. I shrugged. I guess. Why? I thought about it. Because most broken things just need someone to understand what's wrong. She became quiet. For some reason, that answer affected her. After 20 minutes, the phone finally turned on. There. I handed it back. Fixed. Isabella looked at the screen. Then at me. Thank you. No problem. She smiled. You always say that. Say what? No problem. Because it isn't. She looked down at her phone. Then quietly said, you make things feel simple. I didn't think much about it. Until the next day. Isabella was walking beside me after class. Her phone suddenly slipped from her hand. I caught it. She looked surprised. Careful. She laughed softly. You're always fixing things for me. Someone has to. She looked at me. Maybe I like that someone being you. I froze for a second. But before I could answer, another student called her name. She turned away. And the moment disappeared. That evening, Isabella asked me to help her again. This time, her phone needed a software update. We sat in the library. She handed me the phone. Unlock it. I typed the password she gave me. The update started. Then the phone restarted. The screen flashed. Everything loaded. and I saw the contact list. I wasn't trying to look. I really wasn't. But my name was near the top. I froze. Because beside my name was a label. Not a normal label. Not something a friend would write. It said, Ethan Brooks, the boy I'll marry. My hand stopped moving. I stared. Then looked at Isabella. She was looking at the screen too. And for the first time since I knew her, the Ice Queen looked completely panicked. Ethan, I slowly turned the phone toward her. Isabella. Silence. A long silence. Then I asked, what does this mean? Her face turned slightly red. The girl who could speak in front of hundreds of students couldn't answer one question. She looked away. I can explain. I smiled nervously. I hope so. Because suddenly the phone I had fixed wasn't the surprising part. The surprising part was that Isabella Hart, the girl everyone thought was impossible to understand, had secretly saved my contact as the boy I'll marry. For almost a minute, neither of us spoke. The library was quiet. Too quiet. Normally, Isabella Hart was the person who could handle any situation. A difficult question in class? She had an answer. A disagreement during student council? She solved it. A speech in front of hundreds of students? She never hesitated. But now she was standing in front of me, unable to explain why my name was saved in her phone as the boy I'll marry. I can delete it. Those were the first words Isabella said. I blinked. What? She reached for her phone. I can change it. I immediately stopped her. Wait. She looked at me. Why? Because I didn't say I wanted you to. That surprised her. For some reason, she looked relieved. I looked at the phone again. Isabella. Yes? When did you save my name like that? She became quiet. A while ago. A while ago? Yes. How long is a while? She avoided my eyes. 8 months. I froze. 8 months? She nodded. I tried to understand. 8 months. That meant she saved my contact that way before she ever told me anything. Before I knew she liked spending time with me. Before I realized our friendship was different. Before anyone at school suspected anything. Why? The question came out before I could stop it. Isabella looked at me. What? Why did you name my contact that? For the first time, she looked embarrassed. Not slightly. Actually embarrassed. I didn't mean for you to see it. I know. I was going to change it. Were you? Yes. When? She paused. Then quietly said, I don't know. I smiled. That sounds like a lie. She looked offended. It is not. Isabella, you're terrible at lying. She sighed. You learned that quickly. I learned from watching you. She sat down beside the library table. I sat across from her. The phone rested between us. Finally, she spoke. Do you remember the winter charity event last year? I nodded. The projector? Yes. That was when I first noticed you. I smiled. I thought you noticed me because I fixed the projector. No, that answer surprised me. Then why? She looked at me. Because everyone else was trying to impress me. A pause. You were trying to fix a machine. I laughed. That's your reason? Yes. That's strange. Maybe. She smiled slightly. But it was different. Isabella looked down at her phone. Everyone at school sees me as the class president. Or the girl who always wins. Or the person who never makes mistakes. She touched the phone. But you never treated me that way. I didn't answer. Because she was right. I never understood why people acted differently around her. To me, she was just Isabella. The girl who liked strawberry coffee. The girl who hated rainy days. The girl who secretly watched old comedy movies when she was stressed. You know what the strange thing is? She asked. What? The day I saved your contact, I waited. I almost wrote your name normally. Almost? She nodded. Then I remembered something you said. What? She smiled. You said you didn't think anyone would remember you after graduation. I looked at her. I said that. Yes. When? During the library cleanup. I remembered. It was just a random comment. I didn't think she heard. I thought, Isabella continued, that if I ever got married someday, I stopped breathing for a second. She looked away. I wanted it to be someone who made me feel like I mattered. A pause. And I thought of you. The library suddenly felt much smaller. Because the girl everyone thought was untouchable was telling me she had been thinking about a future with me. Isabella. Yes? Why didn't you tell me? She smiled sadly. Because you would have laughed. I frowned. No, I wouldn't. Yes, you would. Why? Because you always think I'm too good for you. I became quiet. Because she was right. She leaned back. Ethan. Yeah? Do Do you know what everyone says about me? That you're the Ice Queen? Yes. And? They think I don't need anyone. She looked at me. But they're wrong. I listened. I need someone who doesn't care about my achievements. Someone who doesn't care about my family. Someone who doesn't want something from me. Her voice became softer. Someone who just likes being with me. I smiled. And that's me? Yes. The answer was immediate. No hesitation. Before I could respond, someone entered the library. It was Lucas. He stopped when he saw us. Then looked between me and Isabella. Am I interrupting something? I immediately answered, yes. Lucas ignored me. Then looked at Isabella. Wait, he pointed at her phone. Is that your contact for Ethan? Isabella froze. I froze. Lucas picked up the phone. Then read the name. His eyes widened. No way. Lucas. No, no, no. He looked at Isabella. The boy I'll marry? The entire library went silent. Isabella's face turned red. Give me the phone. Lucas handed it back slowly. I'm sorry. A pause. But I need a minute. He looked at me. Ethan. Yeah? The Ice Queen saved your contact as future husband? I sighed. Yes. Lucas looked impressed. Honestly? What? I thought you were secretly dating. We're not. He looked at Isabella. Then at me. Not yet, apparently. Isabella looked away. But I noticed something. She wasn't angry. She was smiling. After Lucas left, I looked at her. You know everyone is going to find out eventually. I know. You're okay with that? She thought for a moment, then nodded. Yes. Why? She looked at me. Because I'm tired of hiding things I care about. That sentence stayed with me. Because Isabella Hart was not afraid of rumors. She was afraid of being misunderstood. And somehow she trusted me enough to show me the part of herself nobody else saw. As we left the library, she suddenly stopped. Ethan. Yeah? There's something else. I turned. What? She hesitated. Then opened her phone. She showed me another contact. Not mine. Someone else's. I frowned. Who is that? Her expression became serious. It's the person who has been asking me to go to the winter formal. Who? She turned the screen toward me. I saw the name. Nathaniel Cross. The most popular senior at Westbridge High. The football captain. The guy everyone thought matched Isabella perfectly. He thinks I'm going with him. I looked at her. And are you? Isabella looked directly at me. No, then why show me? She smiled. Because tomorrow, a pause. I'm going to make sure he knows. Knows what? She looked at me. Who I actually chose. The next morning, the entire school was talking about the winter formal. Not because of the dance. Not because of the decorations. Not because of the music. Because everyone wanted to know one thing. Who would Isabella Hart attend with? At Westbridge High, people loved predicting things about Isabella. They predicted her grades, her future college, her competitions, and apparently her love life. For years, everyone assumed Nathaniel Cross would be the perfect match for her. It made sense. He was the football captain, popular, confident, successful. He was the kind of person everyone expected to stand beside Isabella. The problem was Isabella never chose him. When I walked into school, I immediately noticed something. People were looking at me. Not in a bad way. Just curious. Because somehow, rumors move faster than anything else. I found Lucas near my locker. He looked at me and laughed. You're alive. I frowned. That sounds like you expected something else. I expected half the school to ask you about the contact name. I sighed. They don't know. Lucas smiled. Yet, before I could answer, Isabella appeared. The hallway changed instantly. It always did. People lowered their voices. Students moved aside. But Isabella wasn't looking at them. She was looking at me. Good morning, Ethan. I smiled. Good morning. Lucas looked between us. Then whispered, I'm leaving. I laughed. Why? Because I don't want to be the third person in whatever this is. Isabella looked confused. Whatever what is? Lucas pointed at both of us. That. Then he walked away. Isabella watched him leave. He's interesting. He's annoying. You like him. Unfortunately. She smiled. And just like that, the rumors around us became less important. Because when Isabella smiled at me, I forgot everyone else existed. During lunch, Nathaniel finally approached us. I knew it would happen. The moment I saw him walking across the cafeteria, I understood. This was the person Isabella mentioned. Nathaniel stopped beside our table. Isabella. She looked up. Nathaniel. His eyes moved to me, then back to her. I wanted to talk about the winter formal. Okay. He smiled. I already reserved our tickets. Silence. I looked at Isabella. Her expression didn't change. But I noticed something. She was disappointed. Not angry. Disappointed. Nathaniel. Yes? I never agreed to go with you. His smile disappeared slightly. I thought I know what you thought. Her voice was calm. But you were wrong. The cafeteria became quiet, because nobody expected Isabella Hart to reject Nathaniel Cross. Especially not publicly. Nathaniel looked at me, then back at her. Is this because of him? I immediately felt uncomfortable. But Isabella didn't hesitate. Yes. The answer shocked everyone, including me. Nathaniel stared. Seriously? Yes. You barely know him. Isabella looked at him. That's not true. How? Because Ethan notices things you never did. Nathaniel frowned. What things? She answered, the things that matter. Nobody spoke. Isabella continued. You know my achievements. You know my awards. You know what I can do. A pause. But Ethan knows who I am. I looked at her. Because she wasn't defending me. She was explaining herself. Nathaniel became quiet. Then said, Isabella, you're making a mistake. Her expression became cold. The real Ice Queen appeared. Not cruel. Just certain. No, she stood. I'm making a choice. Then she did something nobody expected. She reached for my hand. In the middle of the cafeteria. In front of everyone. My entire body froze. Isabella. She looked at me. What? Everyone is watching. I know. Then why? She smiled. Because I don't want you thinking I'm hiding. The cafeteria went silent. And then everyone started whispering. After school, Isabella and I walked toward the library. I was still processing what happened. You really did that. She looked at me. What? Held my hand in front of everyone. Yes. Why? She stopped. Ethan. Yeah? Do you remember what you asked me yesterday? What? Why I saved your contact like that? I nodded. She looked at me. Because I spent months being afraid. Afraid of what? That if I showed people what I really wanted, she smiled slightly. They would judge me. She looked down. But I realized something. What? The opinions of people who don't know me shouldn't matter more than the person who does. I didn't know how to respond. Because Isabella had always been the person everyone admired. But now I understood. She wasn't looking for someone who admired her. She was looking for someone who understood her. That evening, I received a message. From Isabella. I opened it. Isabella, did today scare you? I smiled. Me, a little. A few seconds later, Isabella, why? I thought about it, then replied, me, because you keep doing things that make me forget you're the Ice Queen. She replied almost immediately. Isabella, good. I smiled. Me, good? Isabella, yes. Isabella, because I don't want you to love the Ice Queen. A pause. Isabella, I want you to love Isabella. I stared at the message. Then another one arrived. Isabella, also Isabella, there is something I haven't told you. I frowned. Me, what? A few seconds passed. Then, Isabella, the contact name wasn't the first time I imagined marrying you. I froze. Before I could answer, another message appeared. Isabella, tomorrow, I'll show you why. The next morning, I arrived at school, and I immediately noticed something. There was a giant poster near the entrance. Winter formal couple announcement at the bottom were two names. I stopped, because I knew one of them. Isabella Hart. And the other was mine. Ethan Brooks. But there was one more problem. The entire school was watching. Because the poster had been placed there by Isabella herself. For a few seconds, I thought I was reading the poster wrong. Because there was no way. I looked again. Winter formal couple announcement Isabella Hart Ethan Brooks. My name was right there. Not hidden. Not written in a corner. Not added as a joke. Right beside hers. Ethan. I turned. Lucas was standing behind me. His expression was exactly what I expected. Shock. Complete shock. You're kidding. I sighed. That's what I was thinking. He walked closer and stared at the poster. The Ice Queen announced you as her winter formal partner? Apparently, he forgot to lower his voice. Because several people nearby heard. And immediately started looking. Within minutes, the hallway became chaos. Students gathered around the poster. Some were surprised. Some were excited. Some clearly couldn't understand what they were seeing. Because Isabella Hart didn't make random choices. Everything she did had a reason. And now everyone wanted to know why she chose me. Then Isabella appeared. The crowd immediately became quiet. She walked through the hallway like she always did. Calm. Confident. But this time, something was different. She wasn't walking alone. She walked directly toward me. You saw it. I looked at her. Yes. She smiled. Good. I glanced at the poster. You did this? Yes. Without telling me? Yes. I stared. Why? She tilted her head. Would you have agreed if I asked first? I opened my mouth, then stopped. Because she knew me too well. I might have worried about what people would say. Exactly. I looked at her. So you decided for me? No, she shook her head. I decided for myself. That answer surprised me. Isabella looked around at the students watching, then back at me. I spent years letting other people decide what made sense for me. A pause. My classes. My activities. My future. She stepped closer. But I'm not letting them decide who I stand beside. The hallway became completely silent. Because everyone understood. This wasn't just about a dance. It was about Isabella finally making her own choice. Isabella. Yes? Why me? She smiled. You still ask that? Yes. After everything? Yes. She sighed. You're impossible. I know. Then she looked at me seriously. Because you were the first person who never wanted anything from me. I listened. Everyone sees my achievements. My grades. My position. My reputation. She looked at the poster. But you saw me when my phone stopped working. I smiled. That's a strange romantic memory. It is. You fell for me because I fixed your phone? No, she shook her head. I fell for you because you didn't care that it was my phone. That sentence made me quiet. Because I understood. Most people treated Isabella differently because of who she was. I treated her normally. And somehow that became the thing she valued most. After school, Isabella and I stayed in the library. Our usual place. She was preparing for the winter formal schedule. I was helping with music arrangements. Everything felt normal. Almost. Because now everyone knew. Can I ask you something? I looked up. Sure. Do you regret it? Regret what? Fixing my phone. I laughed. That's a strange question. Answer. I thought about it. Know why? I looked at her. Because if I hadn't fixed it, I smiled. I wouldn't have discovered my name was saved as something ridiculous. She covered her face slightly. It wasn't ridiculous. It said I was the boy you'd marry. Yes. That's not normal. She looked at me. Maybe not. A pause. But it was true. I froze. Because Isabella said it so naturally. Like it wasn't a shocking confession. Like she had already accepted that future. You really thought about that? She nodded. Yes. When? She looked down. The first time you helped me. I was surprised. That long ago? Yes. Why? She was quiet. Then said, because everyone at school wanted to be noticed by me. A pause. But you were the first person who noticed me. I didn't know how to answer. So I just smiled. The next day, something unexpected happened. The winter formal committee called Isabella. I was nearby when she answered. Her expression slowly changed. What happened? She ended the call. Then looked at me. They want to remove you as my partner. My smile disappeared. What? She nodded. Some committee members think the school image would be better if I went with someone else. I already knew who they meant. Nathaniel. Are you going to agree? The moment I asked, I regretted it. Because Isabella's expression changed. Not angry. Hurt. Ethan. I looked at her. Yeah? Do you really think I would save your contact as the boy I'll marry? She stepped closer. Then replace you because someone else looks better? I didn't answer. She shook her head. This is exactly what I'm talking about. What? You keep believing everyone else's opinion before mine. I lowered my eyes. Because she was right. Again. That evening, Isabella sent me a message. Isabella, tomorrow is the winter formal meeting. Me, okay. A few seconds later, Isabella, I want you there. I smiled. Me, as your partner? The reply came immediately. Isabella, no. I froze. Then another message appeared. Isabella, as the person I chose. The next day, the committee meeting began. Teachers, student council members, school officials. Everyone was there. And everyone expected Isabella to accept the change. But they forgot one thing. They forgot who Isabella Hart had become. Because the Ice Queen who once stayed silent was finally ready to speak. The winter formal committee meeting was held in the main conference room. Normally, I would never have been invited. This was where student council members discussed important school decisions, events, budgets, schedules, things for people like Isabella, not people like me. But today I was sitting beside her, and everyone in the room noticed. The committee advisor looked at the papers in front of her. Isabella, we understand that you have selected Ethan Brooks as your partner. Isabella nodded. Yes, but there are concerns. I already knew what was coming. The winter formal represents the school. The advisor continued. Traditionally, the selected partner should also represent the school image. I looked down. There it was. The same thing everyone always thought. Image. Status. Popularity. Isabella didn't move. What concerns? The advisor glanced at me. Ethan is a talented student. A pause. But he is not a public figure. I almost laughed. Public figure. That was a strange way to describe a high school student. Before I could say anything, Isabella spoke. I disagree. Everyone looked at her. The advisor seemed surprised. Isabella. No, her voice was calm, but firm. I want to explain something. She stood, and suddenly, the room felt different, because everyone knew Isabella Hart. They knew the perfect student, the class president, the girl who always followed the rules. But today she wasn't following anyone's expectations. For years, people have decided what represents me. She looked around. My grades, my awards, my position, my achievements. A pause. But none of those things explain who I am. The room became quiet. Isabella continued. When my phone broke, everyone suggested I buy a new one. She looked at me. But Ethan fixed it. When I was stressed, everyone told me to work harder. But Ethan asked if I was okay. When everyone saw the person they expected me to be, her voice softened. Ethan saw me. I looked at her. Because she wasn't defending my position. She was telling the truth. The advisor was silent. Then asked, Isabella, are you saying personal feelings should decide school representation? No, she shook her head. I'm saying character should. She pointed toward me. Ethan has helped students at this school for years. He fixes equipment. He helps classmates. He stays after school when others leave. A pause. He represents the kind of person this school should be proud of. Nobody spoke. Because she was right. And everyone knew it. Then someone opened the door. Nathaniel Cross walked in. I immediately recognized him. The football captain. The person everyone thought would stand beside Isabella. He looked at the committee. I heard there was a discussion. The advisor sighed. Nathaniel. He looked at Isabella. Is this really what you want? Isabella didn't hesitate. Yes. Nathaniel looked at me. Then back at her. I don't understand. What? Why him? The question was simple. But everyone wanted the answer. Isabella looked at me. Then answered. Because he never asked me to be perfect. A pause. He never cared that I was the class president. He never cared that people admired me. He never cared what he could get from me. She looked directly at Nathaniel. He cared about who I was. Nathaniel became quiet. For the first time, he didn't look confident. He looked like he finally understood. I thought, he said slowly. I thought you chose him because he was different. Isabella smiled slightly. I did. Nathaniel looked confused. But not because he was unusual. She looked at me. Because he was real. The advisor looked at the committee members. Then at the documents. Finally, she sighed. I think the decision is clear. She picked up the paper. The winter formal partners remain Isabella Hart and Ethan Brooks. I couldn't believe it. Just like that. No argument. No replacement. No one forcing Isabella to change her choice. After the meeting, Isabella and I walked outside. The hallway was empty. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then I said, you really surprised everyone. She smiled. Good. Good? Yes. Why? Because everyone thought they knew me. She looked at me. But they didn't. I smiled. You know what's funny? What? When I fixed your phone, I thought I was helping you. She looked at me. And? I didn't realize you were going to completely change my life. Isabella stopped walking. Ethan. Yeah? Do you know why I saved your contact like that? I smiled. Because you secretly planned our wedding? She rolled her eyes. I'm serious. Okay. She looked at me. Because I knew something before you did. What? that I wanted you in my future. I became quiet, because Isabella wasn't saying it as a fantasy. She said it like a decision, like something she had already chosen. That night, she sent me a message. Isabella, I have a surprise for you tomorrow. I smiled. Me, another contact name? Isabella, no. Me, another public announcement? Isabella, maybe. I laughed. Me, Isabella. A few seconds later, Isabella, Ethan. Me, yes? Isabella, tomorrow, I want everyone to know one more thing. I stared at the screen. Me, what? Her reply came. Isabella, that the boy I'll marry is also the boy I choose today. The next morning, I arrived at school, and I immediately saw the crowd gathered near the entrance. There was a new announcement board. Everyone was looking at it. I walked closer, then froze, because Isabella had written something herself. Not about the winter formal, not about school, about me. And at the bottom was a sentence that made the entire school go silent. I didn't save his contact as the boy I'll marry because I was dreaming. I saved it because I already knew. The announcement stayed on the school board for the entire day. Nobody removed it. Nobody covered it. Nobody pretended it didn't exist. Because it wasn't just a message from Isabella Hart. It was a choice. A public one. The first time I walked past the board, I expected people to whisper. They did, but not in the way I imagined. Before, the whispers were always questions. Why him? What does Isabella see in him? Is this real? Now they sounded different. She really meant it. She actually chose him. I never knew she thought that way. I stood there reading the sentence again. I didn't save his contact as the boy I'll marry because I was dreaming. I saved it because I already knew. For some reason, those words felt heavier than the kiss. Heavier than holding hands in the cafeteria. Because Isabella wasn't just saying she liked me. She was saying she believed in us. Before I even did. You're staring at it like you wrote it. I turned. Isabella was standing behind me. I smiled. Maybe I'm just impressed. With what? That you actually did this. She looked at the board. I wanted to. You always say that. Because it's true. I looked around. Doesn't this bother you? What? All the attention. She thought for a moment, then shook her head. No, why not? Because before, people watched me because they expected something. A pause. Now they're watching because I finally did something I wanted. That answer stayed with me. Because Isabella had spent years being admired. But somehow she had never felt free. Until she chose something for herself. The winter formal arrived 2 weeks later. The entire school had been preparing for it. The gym was completely transformed. Lights covered the ceiling. Music filled the room. Tables were decorated with flowers. Everyone looked different. More confident. More grown up. When I arrived, I almost didn't recognize Isabella. Not because she looked different. Because everyone else saw what I had always seen. She wasn't just the class president. She wasn't just the ice queen. She was Isabella. The girl who laughed quietly when nobody was watching. The girl who remembered every small detail. The girl who saved my contact name before I even knew I mattered to her. She walked toward me. You're early. I smiled. You're surprised? A little. Why? Because you're usually 5 minutes late. I laughed. You remember that? Yes. Of course you do. For a moment, we just stood there. Then Isabella looked around. Are you nervous? A little. About dancing? No then? I looked at the crowd. About everyone watching. She understood immediately. Ethan. Yeah? Look at me. I did. You know what I realized? What? The entire school spent years watching me. A pause. But I only cared about one person seeing me. My heartbeat changed. Who? She smiled. You know. The music started. We walked onto the dance floor. At first, I noticed everyone. The students watching. The conversations. The cameras. But after a few seconds I stopped caring. Because Isabella was there. And she wasn't pretending. You're smiling. She said. I looked at her. So are you. That's different. Why? Because I always smile. No, I shook my head. Not like this. She became quiet. Then smiled again. You really do notice things. I learn from you. After the dance, we went outside. The night was cold. The school lights reflected on the snow-covered ground. For a while, we just walked. Then Isabella stopped. Ethan. Yes? I want to tell you something. Another confession? She smiled. Maybe. She looked at the school building. When I first saved your contact name, yes? I thought it was a little embarrassing. You did? Yes. Then why keep it? She looked at me. Because every time I saw it, a pause. It reminded me of something. What? That there was someone who made me feel safe enough to imagine the future. I didn't know what to say. Because that was the thing about Isabella. She didn't say many emotional words. But when she did, they mattered. Then she reached into her bag. I laughed. Please tell me that's not another note. She smiled. It is. You're obsessed with notes. Maybe. She handed it to me. This one is different. I opened it. Inside was a picture. A screenshot of my contact. The one from her phone. Ethan Brooks, the boy I'll marry. Underneath was a handwritten sentence. I wrote this before I knew if you would choose me. Now I want you to know I would choose you again. I looked at her. Isabella. Yes? Do you realize how unfair you are? She frowned. Why? Because you keep making me run out of answers. She smiled. Good. Good? Yes. Why? Because I spent months not knowing what you felt. A pause. Now it's your turn. Before I could answer, my phone suddenly buzzed. A message from the school administration. I opened it, then froze. Senior Year Legacy Project announcement, selected student representatives, Isabella Hart and Ethan Brooks. I looked at Isabella. She smiled. Again? I laughed. Apparently. But then I saw the second line. The representatives must give a graduation speech together in front of the entire school. I stared. A speech? Yes. And everyone will watch? Yes. I sighed. I'm starting to think you enjoy putting me in front of crowds. Isabella smiled. No, then why? She stepped closer. Because I want everyone to hear something. What? She looked at me. The story of how the person who fixed my phone, a pause, became the person who fixed my heart. I froze. Because tomorrow the entire school would hear our story. And for the first time I wasn't afraid of everyone watching. Because I knew exactly who I was standing beside. I had performed on stage before. The spring festival. The winter formal. School events where hundreds of people watched. But standing backstage before the graduation legacy speech felt different. Because this time, I wasn't playing music. I wasn't hiding behind an instrument. I had to speak. And worse, I had to speak beside Isabella Hart. You're nervous. I looked up. Isabella was standing beside me. Of course she noticed. She always noticed. A little. She smiled. That's good. I laughed. You really like saying that? Yes. Why? Because it means you care. I looked toward the stage. The entire school was there. Students. Teachers. Parents. Everyone. I still don't understand why you wanted me to do this. Isabella looked surprised. Why wouldn't I? Because you could do it alone. She shook her head. No, you're Isabella Hart. And? Everyone wants to hear you speak. She looked at me. I don't want to speak alone. That sentence was simple. But it meant everything. Because Isabella had spent years standing in front of people. But somehow she had always felt alone. Until me. The principal introduced us. Today's legacy speech will be delivered by two students who represent the spirit of Westbridge High. Isabella Hart and Ethan Brooks. The applause started immediately. Isabella walked onto the stage first. Then she looked back. Waiting. Not because she needed me. Because she wanted me beside her. When I stepped onto the stage, I looked at the crowd. For a second, I remembered who I used to be. The guy sitting in the corner. The guy who thought nobody noticed him. The guy who never imagined standing here. Then I looked at Isabella. And suddenly, I wasn't nervous anymore. She started first. When people talk about Westbridge High, they usually talk about achievements. Grades. Awards. Competitions. She paused. But I think they missed something important. The auditorium became quiet. The most meaningful moments here are not always the ones everyone sees. She looked at me. Sometimes they are the small moments. The person who stays after class to help. The person who notices when someone needs support. The person who makes others feel less alone. I knew exactly what she was talking about. Because she had always noticed those things. Then it was my turn. I stepped forward. My first impression of Isabella Hart was simple. A few students laughed. She was the class president. The person everyone knew. The person everyone thought they understood. I looked at Isabella. But they were wrong. The crowd became silent. Because Isabella isn't just the person who wins awards. She's the person who remembers your favorite coffee. The person who checks if you got home safely. The person who cares more than she lets people see. I saw Isabella look down, a little embarrassed, but smiling. I continued. The funny thing is, when I first met Isabella, everyone called her the Ice Queen. A few students laughed. I believed them. Isabella looked at me. Then I realized something. She wasn't cold. She was just waiting for someone she trusted. The auditorium became completely silent. Then Isabella stepped closer to the microphone. There's something I want everyone to know. She looked around. For years, people asked me why I chose Ethan. A pause. And I always thought that was the wrong question. Everyone was listening. The question shouldn't be why I chose him. The question should be, why did it take everyone so long to notice him? I froze. Because that was Isabella. She never wanted the spotlight for herself. She used it to shine on others. After the speech ended, the applause lasted longer than I expected. Students stood. Teachers smiled. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was borrowing Isabella's place. I had my own. After the ceremony, we walked outside. The school was quieter. Most people had already left. We stopped near the old technology classroom, the place where I first fixed her phone. Do you remember this room? I smiled. How could I forget? She looked at the door. This is where everything started. You mean the phone? No, she looked at me. The moment you treated me normally. I smiled. You still think that was special? Yes. Why? Because everyone else saw someone they wanted to impress. A pause. You saw someone who needed help. I looked at her. You know what's funny? What? When I fixed your phone, I thought I was solving your problem. She smiled. And? I didn't know you were going to become my biggest reason to be happy. For a moment, Isabella said nothing. Then she reached into her pocket. I immediately laughed. Another note? She smiled. Yes. You really never stop. No, she handed it to me. This time, the paper was different. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't a challenge. It was a promise. I opened it. Only one sentence was written. The first time you fixed my phone, you repaired something broken. But you never realized you were the person I had been waiting for. I looked up. Isabella. Yes? Your contact name. She smiled. What about it? Do you still have it? She took out her phone. Opened my contact. Turned the screen toward me. There it was. Still the same. Ethan Brooks, the boy I'll marry. I laughed. You never changed it. No, why? She looked at me. Because I was right. Before I could answer, her phone received a notification. She looked at it. Then her expression changed. What happened? She turned the screen toward me. It was an invitation. Westbridge High Alumni Future Leaders event, and below, special guest speakers, Isabella Hart, Ethan Brooks. I stared. Again? She smiled. Yes. Everyone really likes making us stand on stages. Maybe. Why? She looked at me. Because some stories are worth telling. I smiled. But then I noticed something else. At the bottom of the invitation was a note. Not from the school. From Isabella. It said, one day, everyone will know the story. But I only need one person to remember how it started. I looked at her. And suddenly I understood. The phone. The contact name. The notes. The announcements. They were never about proving anything to everyone else. They were about one simple thing. Isabella wanted me to know I had always been her choice. Years later, people still remembered the story of Isabella Hart and Ethan Brooks. Not because we were the most popular couple at Westbridge High. Not because we won awards. Not because our names appeared on school announcements. They remembered because everyone witnessed the moment the Ice Queen made a choice. A choice nobody expected. When I first met Isabella, I thought she was someone impossible to reach. The girl who always looked perfect. The girl who never needed help. The girl who seemed to have everything. I never imagined that one day, I would be the person she trusted most. 5 years after graduation, I returned to Westbridge High. Not as a student. Not as someone standing quietly in the background. This time, I was invited back as a guest speaker. Beside Isabella. Again. You're smiling. I turned. Isabella was standing beside me outside the school entrance. She looked almost exactly the same. The same calm expression. The same elegant style. But there was one difference. She looked happier. You noticed? She smiled. I always notice. I laughed. Of course you do. The school had changed. New buildings. New students. New teachers. But some things stayed the same. The library. The technology classroom. The hallway where Isabella first held my hand. The places where our story began. During the alumni event, a group of students approached Isabella. Miss Hart? She turned. Yes? Can we ask you something? Sure. One student looked at me, then back at her. Is the story true? Isabella smiled. What story? The phone. I laughed. Isabella looked at me. The phone? The student nodded. The story that you saved someone's contact as the boy I'll marry. I looked at Isabella. She looked slightly embarrassed. Even after all these years. Some things never changed. Yes. The students became excited. It's true. Yes. Why did you do that? Isabella looked at me, then answered, because sometimes you meet someone who changes your life before you realize it. The students listened carefully. And sometimes she smiled. You already know they matter before you have the courage to say it. One student asked, did you really know you would marry him? The question made everyone laugh. But Isabella didn't. She simply nodded. Yes. I looked at her. Really? She turned to me. You're surprised? A little. She smiled. Ethan. Yeah. I told you years ago. What? That I wasn't dreaming. Everyone around us laughed. But I knew what she meant. After the event ended, we walked through the old library. The same place. The same window. The same table. We sat down. Just like we did years ago. You know what I find funny? Isabella asked. What? You still don't believe me. About what? That I knew. I smiled. Isabella, you were 16. Yes. You saved my contact as the boy you'd marry. Yes. That's a little unbelievable. She tilted her head. Why? Because most people don't know their future. She looked at me. Maybe. A pause. But I knew how I felt. I became quiet. Because that was always Isabella's strength. She didn't predict the future. She just trusted what mattered. I looked at her. Do you remember the first time you asked me to fix your phone? Yes. I thought you just needed technical help. I know. I had no idea. I know. You really planned everything? She smiled. No, what part wasn't planned? She looked at me. Falling in love with you. I laughed. That sounds like something from a movie. It's true. You hate romantic movies. I changed my mind. When I became part of one. I shook my head. You're different now. Am I? Yes. How? I thought about it. You still look like the Ice Queen. She smiled. But now everyone knows there's a warm heart underneath. Isabella looked out the window. I used to hate that nickname. The Ice Queen? Yes. Why? Because it made people think they knew me. A pause. But now she looked at me. I don't mind. Why? Because the person who showed everyone I wasn't cold was you. I held her hand. The same hand that once reached for mine in the cafeteria. The same hand that held my phone while I discovered the secret contact name. The same hand that chose me when nobody expected it. Isabella. Yes? Do you still have my contact saved the same way? She smiled. You already know the answer. Show me. She took out her phone. Opened my contact. And there it was. Still unchanged. Ethan Brooks, the boy I'll marry, I laughed. You really never changed it? No, even after we got married? She looked at me. Especially after. I froze. Then laughed. Wait. What? You knew you would marry me. Yes. And you were right. Yes. That's unfair. She smiled. Why? Because I spent years wondering if I was good enough. Isabella squeezed my hand. Ethan. Yeah? You were never someone I chose because you became good enough. A pause. You were someone I chose because you were always enough. And that was the truth. The phone was never the important part. The contact name was never the important part. The announcements. The speeches. The public choices. They were all just moments. The real story happened in the quiet ones. A broken phone. A simple conversation. A person noticing another person. The girl everyone called the Ice Queen didn't need someone to melt her. She needed someone who would see that she was never cold. She was just waiting. Waiting for someone who would look past the title. Past the achievements. Past the perfect image. And see Isabella. And somehow I became that person. The boy who fixed her phone. The boy whose name she saved before she ever confessed. The boy she chose before anyone else understood why. Because sometimes the biggest love stories don't start with a confession. Sometimes they start with something small. A broken phone. A simple favor. And a contact name that reveals the truth before anyone is ready to say it. The boy I'll marry. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.